Good morning or good evening to everybody joining us today. We welcome you from wherever you are in the world joining us. We are excited to present insights and information on BASIS International School Nanjing for our presentation today. My name is Tim Smith. I am Vice President of Global Talent for BASIS International Schools, and it gets to be my pleasure to share and host our information session here today. Today, we do have a number of individuals that will be joining us. We'll be joined by Jamie Davis, who is the head of school at BASIS International School at Nanjing. We'll also be hearing from a couple of our teachers, Fraser Wallace, who is speech and debate teacher, as well as Sarah Knopp, who is the chair of our fine arts department. Additionally, we are joined by Emma, who is in the HR department at BASIS International School Nanjing. She'll be sharing some of the insights about what it is that the team there does for the teachers coming in, the support that they get, and really excited to be able to have those insights on our conversation here today. So to start things off, we will be covering insights on the school, sharing some of the experiences of our teachers there. We'll also then be touching on some of the aspects about working with BASIS International Schools as a whole. We'll touch on the benefits and visa requirements. We'll also then have a Q&A session at the end. Well, it gets to be my pleasure to welcome Jamie Davis to our webinar. Jamie is the head of school at BASIS International School Nanjing. He's part of one of the founding members of the school, has been in Nanjing for, is it 5 years now, Jamie? We opened up in 2019. So
this is year six.
Year six. So yeah. Welcome, and we're really excited to hear what it is you have to share about your wonderful school there. Turn everything over to you.
Well, thank you for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. I have the actual distinct honor of being the head of school here at BASIS International School Nanjing. I do wear a suit most oftentimes, but as you can see on the screen, I rather lack bashfulness. What you're seeing down below is an outfit where many of my parents on the campus lovingly call me the Red Queen because I dressed up as the Queen of Hearts for our Halloween celebration a few years back. This is a really special place. I have the honor of being part of the founding leadership of this campus. I have the pleasure of leading the campus, but at the same time, I'm very adamant about the fact that this is not me. This is a very much, to cliche it, very much a we. We are a campus that is a very tight-knit community and it's an incredible place to be. I've spent, this is my 6th year here, and I call this home. My daughters are grown and gone to university. My wife just retired this past spring as a faculty member here in Nanjing. But I don't have a day where I don't look forward to coming to work because of what this place is. You're going to hear a lot of things today about what it's like to be a teacher and what our students are like and what it might be like to be part of a new faculty experience in the onboarding process. This place is special because of the people that are here, and to the newbies out there that are looking to find their way overseas. I'm kind of going to be counterintuitive and say that my number one goal is to maintain this staff as long as I possibly can. The people that I have here are very valuable to our parents and to our students and to each other. And that kind of quality of care is not a normal occurrence in any school, let alone an international school. So I'm really proud of this place. And at the same time, it's something that it's just an incredible place to be a faculty member, a teacher, a coach, a contributor. And at the same time, at the end of the day, we're looking forward to what happens next in the next day. So if I were to tell you a little bit about BASIS Nanjing, we were founded in 2019. We have a campus that is located in the north. I have to think about direction sometime. The northeast corner of Nanjing itself. 30-minute metro ride, straight shot on the number 2 line down to the center of the city. Nanjing has about 9.5 million people, give or take a million. It's really quite incredible. It's the original, or not the original, it was the former capital of the country. Very old, ancient city. But at the same time, we're up in the very new area called Shanlin, and it is the university town. You can see the campus there. That's our student services building and our middle school building directly in front of you. It's a wonderful campus. Right now, it's very warm, but at the same time, what you're seeing here is that we've got a very vibrant, colorful community. There's a lot of things going on a day-to-day basis, but at the same time, it is a very stable and wonderful community that has a very strong foundation. On this screen, you can see one, two, three, I can see 4 founding faculty members who are still part of our team. So I've been here, for 6 years. One of my observations about international schools is that one of the ways you can check the quality of that campus community is how long do faculty stick around? And when teachers are renewing their contract for the second time, you're starting to do things the right way. So when you're looking at our group, we've had our first graduating class 2 years ago. This past year, we had our second graduating class, and the most important one is the one that's coming, is our next graduating class. These kids, and both Fraser and Sarah, who are here with me today as teachers, can talk to you a little bit more about what our students are. But our students are absolutely wonderful. They are an incredible group and very talented. I spent the first half of my international career in the Middle East and then transitioned into China. And now we are in a place where academic performance is really a benefit in the classroom. You have a group of very driven students and at the same time driven parents, and all of that is facilitated by incredible teaching. I continue to champion the faculty that I have the pleasure of working with. The reason we are doing what we're doing is not because of leadership. It's not because of structure. It is because of high quality teaching. If teachers enjoy what they're doing, if teachers embrace their students, you get great things. It is that simple. And we have that here. We have people that come to work because they like coming to work. I've said it several times this year to several of my leadership team. I don't want people here that we describe as fine. And what I mean by that is that I really look for folks that are going to be here because they have that special quality. I don't want to know that somebody comes in at the time school starts and leaves when school ends, and what they do is teach their class, and there's no extra contribution to the campus. The people that are here with me today are examples of that being just wonderful, in that when you look at these people, what they actually bring. You don't have to think very hard. And not that there's anything wrong with fine teachers. There are a lot of fine teachers in the world. And I'm not asking for exemplary or PhDs or master's degrees, which are all wonderful credentials, but caring, driven, passionate people, passionate about their subject and the kids in their class, are the types of people we have. So when you look at what we have, we've got that right now. Our results are otherworldly. Our students go to the best ranked universities in the world. They perform at the top of our network in terms of academics. And we have the benefit of being in Nanjing. So at the end of the day, we are, yes, an incredible campus. We have a very university-like feel. The picture at the bottom of the screen kind of gives you the east side view of the campus, where the top of the camp, or the top picture, is the west side. It has a very university feel to it. There's a lot of outdoor walkways that are covered. We just did a massive theater renovation, which Sarah can talk to you about in a minute if she wants to. We're really proud of our campus. It's very vibrant. On campus, we have swimming pools and fitness centers for staff, and we have dedicated teaching areas where you're not going to see the traditional rows and columns of desks with a person standing at the front with PowerPoint presentations. One of my pet peeves in the world is to hear somebody tell me how great their PPTs are. I didn't even know that was a word, to be honest. I knew it was an acronym, but I didn't know it was actually a quality of teaching. But it's a really great place where there is no real reason that people can't do the things that they want to do as a classroom practitioner. A colleague of mine mentioned to me that they wish they could spend more time in the lab. And I said, why can't you? And there was a giant pause, and they said, well, I didn't know I was able to access the middle school and high school labs as a primary teacher. And I said, well, did you ask? So one of the things that I really do hope for when we build this community and look at, the boarding and the sports fields and the parks and the common areas is that people are willing to go beyond the classroom. I might have said this last year, Tim, so I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself, but I think it's really important that when you become an international school teacher, part of an international school community, that you recognize that the floor of your classroom is not where your responsibility and your opportunities end. I would think it would be great if we had the floor was the same across the entire campus. It'd probably look rather boring, but at the same time, the cliche would be great that everyone's responsible for the floor of the entire campus. Last night we had basketball practice going on and swim practice and volleyball practice and soccer practice. And we've got productions that are already being advertised for this year. And we've got an international music festival upcoming. It's a vibrant international school community. It's an incredible place. And at the core of it are great people and wonderful students. So when I look at the pictures of what you see when you get here, it is incredible. Our facilities are first rate. But at the end of the day, what Nanjing is about are the people that are here. What I really hope for is that when you consider joining a community is that you put yourself out there. When I look at those pictures in front of you, whether it's Azam or Holly or Nicole or who's that, Tiana or Stephen, these are individuals. These are people with incredible talents. And those smiles that you see are not staged. And I put my money where my mouth is. I told Sarah and Fraser, you talk as you are. You tell people about your experience. Because I don't want fabrication and I don't want scripts and I don't want people to feel as though they are not who they are. And this I know I have said before. My expectation of all of the people here is that they love being who they are while they're here. And if you don't love being who you are, and this isn't the right place, that's okay. But at the same time, it's really important that people are invested as they are who they are. I don't want them to be somebody else. I have no interest in performing arts. I do have interest in theater arts. I don't have, but at the same time, when it comes to practicing a teaching career, it's really important that people are who they are and they're real. And by the way, in the bottom, that is a horse. We had horses on the campus the other day. We had our after school activity fair. And the two horses that were brought by our equestrian club members was definitely a point of notice. There were a lot of people taking pictures of that. So I'm going to introduce you to Sarah. Sarah is the chair of fine arts, is also an incredible theater arts and performing arts. I can never remember which one I'm supposed to say. I could say drama teacher. And I'm going to let Sarah come in and talk a little bit about what it's like to be a teacher here in Nanjing. So now we're going to do our transition like we're going off stage left.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you. I hope that was a smooth transition. My name is Sarah Knopp. I am the upper school drama teacher and chair of fine arts here. And I'd like to talk with you about what life in Nanjing looks like, but also share a little bit about my work experience here at BASIS. So the first thing I'd like to point out is that we have a really amazing community here at BASIS Nanjing. I'd say our community is a little bit more on the younger side. So we have a lot of young teachers here. And we like to spend some time on the weekends or meet up on Friday afternoons, evenings after work and catch up. There's a restaurant called Potato that we all really like to go to. It's actually a Western restaurant that has a nice little rooftop area. And sometimes you're lucky enough to see a really beautiful sunset there and you have the hills of Nanjing in the background. It's just really beautiful. And yeah, teachers are very willing to meet up with you and have a glass of wine or two and yeah, talk about life and other things than school, which is very nice. We also have a sunshine committee here at BASIS Nanjing, which I love. This is led by two wonderful teachers, Ayana and Ulya. Shout out to you two. They are organizing events and trips on the weekends for new staff, but also returning staff. So sometimes we go on a go-kart trip. We did that 2 weekends ago, actually, which was really fun because you get the chance to bond with teachers and colleagues outside of campus. I think they're also planning a kayaking tour, and in the past they did shopping sprees, going to IKEA or Sam's Club, which then again also helped new staff to settle in and to get to know the area and their shopping opportunities. Jamie already talked a little bit about the area here. It's called Xianlen. So we're a little bit more on the outskirts of Nanjing. But I would say that this area especially has expanded and evolved a lot in the past 2 years. So when I arrived 2 years ago, I remember, especially in the area where I live in now, there were maybe 5 coffee shops and that's it. But now if you go there, you can see malls, restaurants, KTV, which is karaoke. Sorry, I'm not sure if that's a term that everybody's familiar with. You have lots of bars, but you know, you can feel like you are actually in a city center without being in a city center. But at the same time, something that I really like about this area where we live in is that you also get a lot of greenery. So there are lots of parks around, and you always have the choice between, okay, after school, do I want to go and go on a stroll in a park, or do I want to go shopping, or do I want to meet with friends? So yeah, I think that is quite nice that you have those different options here. This is actually my 6th year in China, and I think there are lots of perks of living in China. This is my 3rd year with BASIS Nanjing. Before that, I lived in Shanghai for 3 years. And something that I really enjoy living here in China is the low cost of living. I always feel like I can have a really exciting lifestyle here in China, while at the same time also being able to save money, which I think, especially for younger people, might be really important. You also get to travel around Southeast Asia, if you like, during your holidays. For example, Korea and Japan are only 2 hours away with the airplane. Thailand and Vietnam are around 4 or 5 hours. So it's definitely easy to travel around Southeast Asia and explore a lot. And one more thing I'd like to talk about when it comes to living in Nanjing is actually our proximity that we have to Shanghai. I'm a huge fan of Shanghai. As I mentioned before, I lived in Shanghai before, and I just love that that city is only 60 to 90 minutes away with a high-speed train. It's a beautiful metropolis with a lot of charm. You can watch performances there. Actually, I think the Phantom of the Opera is running in Shanghai right now for, I don't know, maybe a month or 2. There's also the immersive theater piece Punch Drunk Sleep No More running there since a few years, which is wonderful. And all those performances are being performed in the English language. So it's really nice to go there for a day and watch a performance and then come back. Having lived in Shanghai, I also really value coming back on a Sunday afternoon, back to Xianlen, back to Nanjing, and feeling the calm of the city. You don't have the busy traffic, the traffic jams, the hectic atmosphere that you can get in a metropolis like Shanghai. So yeah, with that proximity, I just feel like you get the best out of it. That's it for living in Nanjing. I'd like to touch a little bit on what working at BASIS Nanjing looks like right now. And I'd like to talk about one woman that's also in the room right now, and that is Emma Gao. She is one of our HR staff here at Nanjing. And I think we have such an incredible HR support here. It's so nice for new teachers to settle in. They really take care of everything that you need. They answer all your questions, and they just make you feel really welcomed. I remember arriving here 2 years ago, and it was during COVID time. So we actually had to go through quarantine in a hotel, and it was quite a stressful experience personally. But I remember my 3rd day in the quarantine hotel, we actually received a huge box of goodies with snacks, coffee, the HR handbook to get to know the school a little better. And it was just such a nice gesture, and I felt so welcomed in that moment. So I really like to remember those moments. Yeah. And throughout the year, you get a lot of goodies from HR. There are special celebration days, like yesterday was International Teachers' Day. And we got a little mug. And before that, It was Mid-Autumn Festival. We got 2 big bags of mooncakes, which was really nice. It's only the 4th week of school or 3rd week. I forgot. And we already got so many presents and little goodies. So I think the school takes good care of making us feel welcomed and appreciated for both new staff, but also returning staff. Yeah. And being a fine arts teacher here at BASIS Nanjing, I think is also quite special. I'm just going to touch on that briefly. Something that I really value here is that we have a lot of leeway when it comes to creating our curriculum and our lessons. So you are really able to adapt your lessons based on your own strengths, your interests, and your expertise. For me, for example, my background is in musical theater and dance. And when I'm creating performances, I always like to put those strengths into the shows. And you're definitely more than welcome to do that and really adapt your lessons based on what you love most and what your strengths are. And I really cherish that. And Jamie actually talked about theater renovations earlier. I remember coming into the theater 2 years ago, and the theater had some colorful stairs in front of it. The stage had some colorful stairs in front of it. And the background was white walls. And I thought to myself, why would the walls be white? And I asked our leadership team if we could paint them black. And I remember in the October holiday, the first big holiday that we had, they painted them black. And then a year later, I came to Jamie and I said, hey, Jamie, what do you think about a renovation for the theater? We could expand the stage. We could make some adjustments to the tech room. We could make it all a little bit more practical and better for our students. And he said, sure, let's do it. And I handed in a proposal the next day, and it was done over summer. And now, yeah, I'm very proud every time I go into the theater. I feel like this is such an amazing space now, and students can learn so much better there and perform so much better there. So in that regard, I also feel very supported. And yeah, that's it from me.
My name is Fraser Wallace, and I'm the speech and debate teacher here. I'm going to start by telling you a little bit about myself, because I think that might be useful to teachers coming to China from places that are not like China. Thinking about my own preconceptions against what I've found the reality of life to be here in Nanjing. I will tell you a little bit about my family, because teachers who have families might find that quite interesting. And then finally, because I feel Sarah's already dealt a lot with the pluses of working here at BASIS, I'll talk specifically about the speech and debate program, which I'm very proud to be part of. So I'm 36 years old, and I was born in Scotland. There I lived everywhere there are more sheep than people. So coming to China, where I had the idea that there's well, they even call it here the Ren Shan, Ren Hai, that people see, People Mountain, people see. I had the idea that, it was going to be urban and chock-a-block and very hectic. But Nanjing is not like that in many ways. And of all the Chinese cities I've visited, I do find the pace of life in Nanjing to be less frenetic. For me, that's very important, as I am somebody who loves the outdoors. My daughter's name is Willow because I love trees, not because William Wallace, as some people accuse me of being a berserk Braveheart fan. Unable to, give that up when I had a daughter. But her name is Willow because I like trees and nature. And Nanjing is exceptionally green. Jamie mentioned it was formerly the capital of China, and I believe that the old leadership, Shanghai Chek's wife, planted a lot of wutong trees or plane trees because she liked the ones that were in Paris. So the avenues here are lined with these green trees, which I find gives the city a very beauteous appearance. I like walking around in Nanjing. I feel comfortable here, albeit in the summer it can be very hot. But for the majority of the year, the climate's quite pleasant. One of the other big advantages I feel that Nanjing has compared to other Chinese cities is the central massif of Purple Mountain. It's not a huge mountain. It's a hill, but it's a very large area of green parkland with some historic monuments and places to see, such as the Mausoleum of Sun Yat-sen, and it is the city's green lungs. I regularly go there to eat temple noodles. There's a Buddhist temple on the side of it, and you can get some very cheap noodles there. They're vegetarian, and that's somewhere I often cycle with my daughter at weekends because it's nice. There's a petting zoo nearby. She loves animals, so we're always on the hunt for that type of activity. My daughter's 2.5, and I do want her to have that connection to kind of nature and green places. And so I think Nanjing is somewhere that I can satisfy that. I mean, my family, my parents were both PE teachers. So regularly when I was young, I was thrown into Lycra and forced to run around in Scottish woods in a sport called orienteering was one way. And I maybe wouldn't do that with Willow. In fact, no, I definitely wouldn't do that with Willow, but I would want her to kind of be exploring outdoors and climbing and engaging in kind of running around in parks, and that's available here. Sarah talked about the community of teachers here being very young. There's also a good cohort who do have young children, and so I feel that I can ask for advice or help or just to hang out with some of the other families, and we often do things together, like trips to water parks, trips to parks themselves, and I think that's been really good. My daughter currently goes to a Chinese nursery, which I'm very happy at. It's situated in the middle of the local financial university, and she goes there every day, and I think she's learning and playing with other little people. But one thing that I'm happy is that she gets both communities. She gets access to the Chinese community. My wife is Chinese, and also the community of expat children who speak an interplay of English and Chinese. And indeed, I feel my daughter, I'm very proud, can speak as well as any child her age that I've discovered yet in both Chinese and English. So I'm really happy at her progress there, and I can't wait for her to come to the BASIS. I live just 4 minutes around the corner. I pedal here every day. But the idea of coming to school with my daughter is something that I'm very looking forward to. When it comes to my job, I'm the speech and debate teacher here at Nanjing, and I am exceptionally proud to be involved in that. The kids that I teach here are exceptional. Jamie does not exaggerate in any way. My kids recently went to an online tournament at Stanford that had students from Honduras, from India, from the United States, and they got first and fourth speaker globally while they're competing in their second language. So they are exceptionally clever kids, and they're motivated kids. And one thing that makes me very happy about teaching speech and debate, though, is that I do feel I bring a different element to these kids. They do work very hard, and they are work very hard academically, but what we do here at BASIS, which I think we do more than other international schools, is expand those horizons, get kids to understand what they really are capable of and what might interest them. And I do like speech and debate because I can explore along those kind of roots of personal interest and help the kids really develop their own passion projects and speak about them and learn what they think about this. So I think we're doing important work here in BASIS. I also like the fact that an international school has that connectiveness to a kind of global community. I guess I've been listening to John Lennon's Imagine too often, but I think that is a really important thing we do. And that leads me, I guess, to my final thing that I'll mention is these international trips that I've been on. We're obviously trying to send our kids to the highest level academic institutions in the States. One of the things we do is we take them there, both for visits and for competitions. And so last year we went to Harvard College, where we had kids enter a debate competition, and it was great. They broke through to higher rounds. They were competing with international students, and again, making friends, making connections with these students and engaging with them in a really wholesome competition. Sadly, on the way back, we saw the Northern Lights, or the students did, and I did not, because I'd fallen asleep and was so tired after a week with these kids in Boston that I didn't wake up. But I do have a photo of the Northern Lights from the plane, and I'm looking forward to going back to Chicago and UPenn this year for further competitions with the kids. So the kids really are motivated, they work hard, they're adventurous. And on these trips, I had been terrified that they would behave like I did when I was a 14-year-old, but they did not. They were really, really, really excellent kids to go on a trip with. So I was very happy.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Fraser. I am Emma Gao, the HR at BASIS Nanjing, and I'm going to talk about something besides teaching, because I'm from the operations team, and I am speaking today on behalf of all our HR team and operations team. Yes, we do appreciate that our international teachers, they come all the way from the other side of the world to come here and settle down, some with their families, to provide our students with the best education that they can do. So we try to provide the best, as much as support as we can for our new teachers, whether you are coming from inside or outside of China, or it's your first time in China, or you have been in China for many years. We provide you with the best support that we can. One of the essential part is the visa application. Either you're coming from inside or outside of China, you will need a visa to work in China. So the minute you sign off your contract, you said yes to your offer, you will be one of us. We treat you as a member of our team, and our support will begin from then. To apply for your visa, especially for teachers who are coming from outside of China, it will be a long process, because we will need you to apostille or legalize some documents, and your degree and your background check, and we'll be requiring your employment letter. But we won't be just sending you a list and we give you 2 months and we expect you to finish them by the end of, say, July. And if you're not done by then okay, then that's it. We will provide you with all the information that we can along the way. We'll tell you how to get your documents apostilled, how to get the legalized documents, where to find information, what kind of information we will need in your employment letter to make sure that you apply for your visa successfully. And along the way, if you have any questions, we are always here to answer, either through email or WhatsApp or WeChat, any apps or platforms that we can provide the instant communication. And aside from after you apply for your visa, we will help you pick up your flights. You don't need to purchase your flight by yourself. The school will take care of it. Also for your family as well. And we will make sure that you will have someone to, either it's us or our other colleagues, to pick you up from the airport, to make sure that you will always be accompanied by someone, by our either faculty members or operations team members, from the airport to your house, to your apartment. And speaking of apartment, the fully furnished housing will be prepared before you arrive, and it will be within 5 to 10 minutes drive from the school. It's in the same community, and the housing will be prepared. We will communicate with you with the inside and the compound that you're going to live before you arrive. And it's also an option to choose your own housing. The school also does provide housing allowance for teachers if you want to choose your own apartment. And we will also, for school rented apartments, we have school teachers shuttle bus to go around the community for your commute. And after you arrive in China and settle down in Nanjing, we are going to help you set up for success. When speaking of set up for success, it means we help you set up your phone SIM cards, your Chinese phone number, and your bank accounts, the essential phone apps, and your residence permit. And this year we had a whole week to settle down these logistics part for our new teachers. And we even had a survival Chinese session for those who are new to China, to help them, to let them know what essential survival Chinese that they can learn to live in this community. And we had very good feedback for our survival Chinese session. I think from my perspective, I was born and raised in Nanjing. It's a very good place, very good city to live in. And our previous colleagues, Sarah and Fraser, have already covered the benefits of living in the city. So I won't go into details about that. But the one thing that I would like to address is that as someone who spent 2 years in college and doing my master's in Europe, 1 year in France and 1 year in the UK, I would say that the living cost here in China is relatively low compared to some other countries, and it's especially low in Nanjing compared to metropolitan cities like Beijing and Shanghai. You can have a much better housing when you're paying for the same amount of money, and it's even easier with our package for our expats. And so now I would like to talk about the benefit package that we provide for our expat teachers. We provide a housing allowance for expat teachers and different housing standards for families of different numbers. And besides from the housing, we provide a travel allowance. Well, we also call it a annual home return allowance. It's for expats to travel back to their home countries, or they can use this allowance to travel within China to explore the country. And it's really convenient. And if you don't use up this allowance, it can be rolled over to our next year until the end of your contract. And besides the travel allowance, we also provide a health insurance, additional health insurance for our expat teachers. It's a health insurance that does not only include China, but also it's an international insurance. So for US teachers, it can also include the US. And for teachers who are not from the US, it can cover all the other places in the world except the US. And it can cover, from what I have learned from our expat teachers, it can cover, I can say, most of their daily medical needs. Either if it's minor issues or if it's an emergency, it is efficient and enough for their daily life and for their family members. And besides the health insurance, if you're a teacher coming from your family with your kids who want your kid to join our school, we can accept up to 2 children of our expat teachers without tuition fees, and up to 3 children if it's a teaching couple where both the married couple are the faculty members. And besides that, we also provide a 10%, we call it retirement benefit. You can also call it a pension. It's paid every year, and it is 10% of your annual salary. It is also a benefit that we provide to expat teachers. That's probably it for the benefit package for the expat teachers. From the operations team side, we welcome our teachers not only from the beginning, but along the way. We provide support for curriculum. We provide support for during the teaching days. It's not like we vanish after you settle down. We will always be here to answer your questions and provide support. And I really hope that we have a stronger and a bigger team, and all our expat teachers will have a good time here, either personally or with their family. And that's it for my part. Thank you.
Yeah, Tim. So that basically is kind of a wonderful way of painting a bit of a picture of what it is to be part of this team. Again, I get the benefit of having the head of school title and a giant office, but at the same time, this is not a single person operation. It's nice that our Emma is the best of the HR team. I had the opportunity to be the chief instruction officer for BASIS China for 1.5 years. And I've met some incredible HR people at all of the different schools. I'm very biased. You can believe me or not, but the people that are here are the absolute best at taking care of us, to making sure that we're supported. It is absolutely a very special place. So I don't know if you want to segue there, Tim, or whether you want to let me ramble on for days, which you know I'm capable of.
That's great. Yeah, we really appreciate the insights shared, Jamie, by yourself, by Emma, Fraser, and Sarah. So I appreciate everybody taking the time to share their personal experiences and insights with us. So I do appreciate that. I will speak to a few things relative to the network as a whole. So, our school in Nanjing is part of the BASIS Curriculum Schools Network. The BASIS Curriculum Schools Network consists of 20 different schools and campuses. We do have 14 international and bilingual schools, as well as 6 independent schools based in the United States, where BASIS was founded and originally started. You can see a number of the campuses that we do have throughout China. The BASIS curriculum schools are all based on the BASIS curriculum. So the BASIS curriculum is a unique curriculum that's specific to our network and what we teach. We kind of call it an AP infused liberal arts curriculum, but ultimately it is an accelerated curriculum where we look to really help individuals, the students, develop the skills and abilities that will really help them be successful in their future endeavors, successful in the 21st global economy, and really be a participant, not an observer of their community and development in developing their future. A couple of things I can share is, it really is about the classroom. So the BASIS classroom is really focused on true learning. We want teachers who are passionate about learning, who really exemplify that. In the high school grades, again, there's AP courses the students do take, but we also then go beyond AP courses and have post-AP courses that the students can opt for. The middle school is a very strong STEM infused liberal arts structure. And then in the primary grades, we do have a co-teaching model where we have individual teachers that focus on subject instruction, as well as teachers, what we call a learning enhancement teacher, that focus on the individual needs of the students. So student needs are being met very well, and the lessons are deep and interesting and engaging for the students. And then our early childhood education, or ECE division, it's a play-based learning environment where we, again, help the students develop the skills and understanding and inquiry and inquisitiveness that we really want to develop as they then, start off their educational journey with us. In terms of results, the results have been really quite spectacular. As a network as a whole, our students that graduate, 97% of our graduates have been accepted into the top 50 US universities and international equivalents. We've also had 67% that are accepted into top 30 US universities and equivalent programs. So you can see some of the programs there: Boston, Cambridge in the UK, Cornell, Harvard, MIT, Princeton, Stanford, Oxford. Also, we have some great arts programs that the students do pursue, including the Rhode Island School of Design, as well as in Chicago. But some really great, outstanding results that the students do see and are able to participate in as a result of their participation in the BASIS program. So with that, I will turn things over to my colleague, Michael Holtquist. Mike is the recruiter that works directly with Nanjing. So I'll turn it to Michael to touch on some aspects of teaching with BASIS and teaching in China.
Tim, thank you very much. And thank you for joining our webinar this evening. And just to reiterate on kind of what everyone at Nanjing was saying, really what makes BASIS special, it is the people. It's the teachers, it's the students, and it's the environment there. And so with that, it is this very collaborative learning environment. And one thing we really want teachers to be able to say with BASIS is that it made them a better teacher. And they were able to learn from each other and grow as teachers, grow as educators alongside their students. And it's that culture of academic success and academic rigor that encourages the teachers to study alongside with their students and encourages the students to pursue their passions. And it's not just that these students have gotten into these universities, but it's these students have been successful once they've been there. And it's how do we as a school and we as teachers help them with that goal these students have for themselves. Additionally, with BASIS is you're not left on your own. And each school is not left on their own. It is a growing network. And you have colleagues, not just at your school, but across BASIS as a whole, and be able to work with teachers from all the other campuses and be able to learn and grow from each other. Additionally, as you've heard our teachers talk about today, it's the students. These are some of the most engaged and hardworking students I've ever seen. And it's not just that they want to do well on their tests or they want to get good grades. It's they have an excitement for learning. And as teachers, we get to see them pursue that excitement and really answer those questions they have for themselves. That's so important for us to really foster that as grow as students themselves. And so kind of with that as well, with teachers always asking, well, why China? Why do I want to teach in China in particular? And I think there's a number of different things. First off, is in China, there's this culture of education. Education is highly valued. And the students really want to be there and teachers really are respected there. As well as with China, it is very, very modern. And Nanjing in particular, it's an interesting environment because like you heard Jamie say, it is the first capital of China. So it's an ancient city, but it's also on the cutting edge of China. It's on the cutting edge of where China is going to, especially in the area where our school's at. And so with that, it is this dynamic culture, and it's a fast-paced culture, and really being able to be a part of that is so important. One thing we want to do with the international schools in particular is make sure we're not separate from the community, but we are part of the community. We're part of the city as a whole. As well as, like you heard Emma say, with China, it is a lower cost of living than a number of areas. And so with teachers, you do have the ability to kind of save and live kind of that life you really want while still being able to travel. Like you heard before, it's there in Nanjing. It's only 2 hours from Japan, 2 hours from Korea, 4 hours from Thailand. So you do have the opportunity to travel kind of all around Asia. I know Emma covered a lot of this, so I'll cover this relatively quick. But there is quite a few components to the Expat package. In addition to your salary, and we do provide you those travel benefits. So when teachers start. We do book their flights to school and initially the first time and back home at the end of their assignment, as well as there's that annual return home allowance, as well as there's that visa support. And this is one thing I cannot say enough, but Emma and the rest of the HR team are absolutely incredible. And one thing we consistently hear from teachers is how supported they feel and how well they've been treated through this whole process and kind of really guided through it, because it can be very confusing. But Emma and her team just do an absolutely amazing job helping teachers with that. And even after teachers start and are they there, just continue that support for them. I cannot say enough about Emma and her team. Again, we do provide you housing. So it's that furnished housing that teachers can use, as well as there is a housing allowance as well if teachers decide to use that option. We do provide you with global health insurance, so it covers you both in China but also outside of China, as well as a tuition benefit for children and breakfast and lunch every school day at the school. And I know what you're thinking like me, this is not the cafeteria food that I grew up with at school. This is absolutely incredible food that really does provide that kind of healthy meal for teachers and for students every day. As well as there is that retirement benefit, there's a completion bonus and additional bonus opportunities as well. So the expat package, it is a very extensive package that teachers have access to. What is BASIS looking for in a teacher? So the first thing that BASIS really is looking for a degree in your subject area. We look for teachers that have a degree in the subject that they teach. And we do that for a couple reasons. One of them is we do want to find those teachers that we are experts and have that depth of knowledge, because the students will push us and they will push us to go more in depth in the subject. But also is, if you have a degree in a subject, it's something you enjoy. And students can see when their teachers really are excited about what they're teaching. And so we'll make sure we can kind of foster that excitement across the students. All BASIS teachers do need at least 2 years of full-time teaching experience after graduation. As well as this, again, this passion for teaching, this passion to convey that subject across their students, and the willingness to work with each other and continue to grow, continue to learn as teachers. So I think that's the single most important thing to get across to students, is this idea of how to continually grow, continuing to learn. Because we do hold the students to very high academic standards, and the students, they do push themselves. We want to make sure we can help them get there and help them get to these goals they want for themselves. And this is difficult. It is difficult to do. It does take a lot of time. And so as teachers, you want to be willing for that. There's a lot of rewards you get, and there's a lot of kind of things that you do get back to you, not just in compensation, but just in seeing the students grow, seeing your colleagues grow. And that's what we're really looking for, is that person that can really take that hard work and transfer it off to the people around them as well, and just really engage those student minds. As well as Emma talked about, we do have to get teachers' visas, and we have to make sure we get everybody the correct teaching visa. And so we also have to make sure that we keep in mind those visa restrictions. We can make sure we can get everyone those correct teaching visa for their time there in China. And so what is it like working for BASIS International School? What should teachers be aware of when they get there? The first thing is that the schools have we're mostly local students. Most of our students are from Nanjing. And so with that, it's not the students adjusting to us as expats, but us adjusting to them as well. And making sure that we're conveying these lessons, conveying what we're trying to get across them in a way that's meaningful and impactful to those students. Both linguistically, because our students, by and large, they are second language learners, but also just culturally as well, making sure that we can have that kind of cultural understanding between us as expats and the students. As well as, like you heard, the school's growing and it is changing. And what we do in 3 years will be very different from what we did 3 years previously. And so that flexibility is important, and being able to grow and adapt as a teacher is really important, because we are going to change, and we always want to change in terms of what's best for the students. As well as for teachers traveling with families, it's really important to make sure that your children are ready for a BASIS education. It is difficult. It is going to challenge the students, and so making sure it's right for your children as well is incredibly important, because when you go overseas, it's not just, is this the right school for me? It's, is this right for my entire family? And so making sure that it's ready for everybody is so important.
Thanks for the insights, Mike. For those of you that would like to see some additional insights, get more information about opportunities in Nanjing or across the BASIS International Schools Network, you can see a lot more information. Following us on our socials, we do post pictures and some videos of what teachers are experiencing. The teachers do share their stories on our blog. There's some really great insights from the experience of the teachers. Our career site does include positions that we are recruiting for. Obviously, we're early in the season now, but you can set up a reminder, so when new positions come up, then it can inform you and provide you an alert when something in your subject does open up. You can also join our talent community. By joining the talent community, you will receive updates on happenings, events, significant accomplishments of the students, and other things that we do share out with our talent community. So please feel free to find more information on our social channels, our blog, and on the career site. With that, we will move into the Q&A part of the presentation. So I'll go ahead and welcome Jamie and his team back. A couple of things that we'll be doing. Again, just as a reminder for those of you that have questions, if you haven't already submitted those, then please use the Q&A link in the menu at the bottom of your screen, and then we will go through and we'll kind of review. Mike will be reviewing the questions. He'll bring those up. Before those come in, Jamie, I do have a couple of questions for you. Actually, a comment, a couple of things that stood out to me in what you and your team were sharing, but both Sarah and Fraser had mentioned, coming back into Nanjing from being out in some of the larger cities, there is that great sense of calm about the city. It's a beautiful city. I love the tree-lined streets. There's a lot of nature there. That really resonated with me. And I also really liked how Sarah shared her experience of providing some input, some recommendations, some ideas of what could be done to really enhance the theater experience. And I love that the input of the teachers is really highly valued in finding ways that we can make things better at the school. So I really appreciate a couple of those specific insights.
Thank you, Tim. So I can start going through some of the questions. So I guess one of the first questions we got is, what's the weather like in Nanjing? Especially, what are the winters like there?
I am a really odd answer to this question because I'm Canadian and I love being away from winter weather. I had the first 40 years of my life being exposed to awful weather. When I hear my colleagues complain about cold, I kind of giggle a bit because in January, when it gets its coldest, it sometimes gets to like -1 or -2 degrees Celsius for my American brothers and sisters to the south of the border. I know you're still somehow in the Fahrenheit so like the low 30s. Which again doesn't sound right either, but at the same time, it's not cold in the winter here at all. We have a very moderate climate. The summer is warm, really warm. So Nanjing is nicknamed one of the 4 furnaces of China in the summer. So again, I will mention it as a Canadian. In July, I arrived back from my summer break. I came back in late July to meet our new staff arrivals, and high 30 degrees, so 100 degrees it can get in the summer months, so it can get quite warm in the summer. But right now we're kind of gauging out, it's raining today and it's about 25, 26 degrees Celsius, so 72 degrees Fahrenheit. Quite wonderful. Very, very moderate temperature range. So there's not a big range. We're 350 kilometers, 100 and some odd miles inland from the China Sea. So we are very inland, but at the same time, the very, very temperate climate.
If I can maybe jump in and ask a question while Mike's preparing his next question. One of the things you had mentioned early on, you talked about the retention and how you've had a lot of teachers that are staying. What would you attribute some of that high retention you've had in Nanjing? What would you attribute that to? What has really made the difference?
Easy school culture. This is a place people want to be. And again, I challenge anybody to ask any of my staff that question. I think at the end of the day, people feel like they can be who they are and be real. They feel valued, they feel supported, they feel like they are a part of something that works for their code, their ethics, their morals, that they're ready to drive. I don't hide the fact that we work super hard. We are a very academically rigorous environment. We have a very driven academic setup. Our kids are taking AP classes as early as grade 9, and that's hard. And our results are celebrated regularly. But at the same time, good teaching and learning is what drives those results. So if people are willing to embrace that and feel like they are supported in that, then they want to stay. At the end of the day, I tell a lot of folks, and I went overseas almost 15 years ago, you go to work at a school, but you work for people. And that's a part of this game that everybody wants, that everybody needs to understand as a part of what your equation for making a decision is. You have to deal with me if you come to Nanjing. So if you don't like this presentation, this gregarious, this over the top, this probably poor humored individual, it's not the right place for you. At the same time, you don't have to just work with me. We have divisional leadership and chairs and athletic directors and chairs of fine arts. They're all a part of this. and it is varied voices and varied expectations, but at the same time, our retention rate is absolutely stellar because people like it here. It's really quite simple. If people enjoy working in a place, they want to stay. The cliches will say, you know, sometimes it's better to go with the evil you know, and that the grass may not be greener on the other side. But at the same time, my attitude is that you should want to come to work. I embrace coming to work at 6 o'clock in the morning. I meet Mr. Mellitz usually somewhere in the hallway on the way up to school because he's arriving at 6 o'clock like I am. And there's coffee being brewed and there's country music going on in my office and odd things being written on the door. But people generally like to be here. And my hope would be that at the end of the day, if they don't, they would tell us early on. So I honestly, Tim, it's a really cliched answer.
That's great. I think some key things that really helped make people enjoy being there. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, so I guess that kind of segues really well into one of our other questions about kind of what are departmental and school meetings like there, and how is that collaboration kind of fostered there in Nanjing?
So I'm gonna let Sarah answer this question because I can tell you what I think meetings are like, but I would rather you hear from a teacher what meetings are like. So I'm gonna stage right or left. I don't know which one it is, but I'm gonna slide out.
Hi, everyone. So departmental meetings, good question. We do have meetings that are specifically for chairs, for example, where we get trained how to coach our teachers. I am not on mute right now. I am. And then we also have faculty meetings, usually once a month, where the whole school is meeting and Jamie is sharing important information with us. We also have meetings for the chairs, for example, within the network, where we kind of exchange information and data across networks. So it's really great to align, for example, the drama program or the fine arts program with the other schools. And yeah, we do have quite a lot of meetings, I'd say, but I never feel like we have unnecessary meetings. Everything that can be said in an email will be said in an email, and everything where we feel like we need to exchange information, we need to brainstorm, or we need to talk this out, then we usually have a meeting. And so I feel like the way that we take care of meetings here is that whatever is necessary to be done in a meeting, we will do, and whatever can be said in an email will be in an email. So I do like that. I do appreciate that here.
I think the expectation across our network of schools, Tim, Michael, and whoever's asked the question, is that we do meet weekly, but it's at various levels. So this week we have divisional meetings, there are department meetings, there are whole school meetings, and then there are network level meetings. Part of the logistics of being a teacher is that we know inevitably there will be some form of meeting. I've got lots of jokes for that, but I'm not going to throw them out here now. But at the same time, they are necessitated. Is that a verb? Might be a verb. I'm not sure. It was an attempt at a verb. I think that we do a better job than most at making sure that we prioritize optimal use of our time. The time is the most important commodity of any teacher. And I would bet you, and I'll give advice to anybody out there, when you get the chance to ask your question at the end of an interview, the two worst questions you can ever ask are, well, what are the working hours? And do I have to go to any meetings? Yes, you're a teacher, you have to go to meetings, and the working hours are pretty normal, but at the same time, our expectation is that you're not focused on when I get there or when I go home. Sorry, Tim, that's my rant.
I can maybe interject, Michael, filter through some of the additional questions, but, Jamie, early on, you had mentioned that, you'd previously been in the Middle East. Is there anything that you would want to kind of share just in terms of, what have been some of the differences as you've come from Middle East? We get questions from teachers that are there and want to get a sense of, what is that like? What is the transition like? So if you can maybe kind of provide some of your firsthand experience to share with those that are in a similar situation, I think that'd be great.
Yeah, so when I was working in Doha and we were hiring teachers, often teachers that came from China I was in Qatar, or I have colleagues that have worked in Dubai and Abu Dhabi, they struggled because one of the stereotypes of the region is that you have to have strong classroom management skills to be successful in a less academically driven environment. But at the same time, we see the opposite in the other way, and that we've got teachers that are coming from the Middle East who have incredible management skills coming into an environment where our students, our parents, and our institutions are incredibly academic in their mandates, their missions, and their drive. So teachers are actually walking into a situation where their management skills are quite refined, and they're finding an opportunity to actually look at how we are differentiating content and how our scaffolding and materials are focused, and not so much worried on the day-to-day behavior management issues. I think that's overly cliched. I don't think that's completely accurate, but at the same time, my opinion is that the transition moving east is easier than moving west on this side of the world. I think it's a place where academics are very important. There's a lot of families here with one child, and their next generation is determined in terms of success by often where they feel their son or daughter is going to go to school. And there is a lot of ownership over the academic performance here. I've had many more conversations about the difference between a 93 and a 94 on a report card here than I ever did when I was in Doha.
Right. Thanks for those insights. Appreciate it.
So I guess kind of building off that as well, for teachers that are coming from, say, Shanghai or other cities in China, what are some of the things they can expect to be different about moving to Nanjing?
Quieter life, that's for sure. I mean, I embrace going to Shanghai for the weekend, and I like to go down for a day and have brunch and then come back and get the big city feel. But Nanjing is a very quiet city. Where I come from in Canada, there are 200 people in 75 square kilometers. I am extremely rural. I do not feel overwhelmed by Nanjing. It is a very quiet-paced place. And at the same time, our school community, we're less than 1,000 students. Our faculty, we have about 50 or 60 expat teachers right now. It's a smaller community. It's an easier community to settle into. It's definitively, if I'm going to throw educational jargon at people, and I'd say there's way less siloing of departments and divisions here than there are in some of the bigger cities. You know, you go into lunch here in the cafeteria, and you often see Sarah sitting with one of our faculty of social studies teachers, one of our Chinese teachers, one of the deans, and maybe one of the divisional leads. There's way more cross-pollination here than you find in a lot of the schools in Shanghai or Beijing. Now, our goal is to continue to grow. We're growing year on year, and our population of our school is going to keep growing in a hopefully a positive manner, which means we grow. But at the same time, because we've been methodical with our growth, there still is that, man, I just want to say small town feel. I mean, there's 9.5 million people here. You can put Toronto, Vancouver, Montreal in the same place, and you don't get this population, but it doesn't feel the way. So I think that if you were going to transition from Shanghai or Beijing, I think you're in for a quieter life. And I should ask Sarah, because I just literally said it out loud. She did transition from Shanghai to Nanjing, so she could probably better answer than I.
I just want to add one more thing to that. When it comes to our students, and I'm not sure if that has something to do with Nanjing or not, but particularly here on this campus, our students are very friendly, very kind human beings. And I was very astonished by that when I arrived 2 years ago. And it's just, I don't know, it's just something that I wanted to mention. For me, before I was in Shanghai, I lived in Germany, I taught there. And you do have more behavior management to deal with on a daily basis compared to here. So our students are just very well behaved. Of course, there are always exceptions. I'm not speaking for everyone 100%. But in general, it's a very nice work atmosphere because our students are so well behaved and so polite and respectful. So, yeah.
Thank you very much. Moving to more of a logistical questions, probably for Emma and her team. Emma, you talked about getting teachers' visa to come into China. What about support for teachers who are currently working in China, support transferring their work visa over to BASIS International School Nanjing?
Yes, thank you for the question, Michael. So we call these teachers who are arriving within China, the domestic transfer teachers who already have Chinese residence permit, Chinese working visa. So the transition process for them is different. They don't need to re-legalize all the documents as long as they don't leave the country. We do the transfer inside of China, and it will be much easier than the teachers who arrive from outside of China, but the timeline would be tricky because the transfer usually takes place in a summer vacation and it might affect their summer travel plans. outside of China. So we will make sure that we talk this through with our new teachers and make sure if they have additional needs, the things that they have to take care of during their summer vacation outside of China. If that's the case, then we will see what we can do to help them make that happen. But again, they will need to transfer their visas from another school to our school, and it will take time, but we will always talk them through it and clarify the timeline and all the things that they need from their previous school and all the things that we need for their next visa and their family members.
Thanks, Emma. Appreciate that. So that covers all of the questions that have been submitted. For the bowl, there are a few individuals who've kind of asked very specific questions to their individual circumstance. So I may, respond to those just through the chat. But Jamie, thank you so much. Thank you to you and your team, Sarah, Fraser, Emma. Thank you so much for providing the insights that you have. The school there in Nanjing is really a special place, and appreciate you sharing the insights. And we look forward to the recruiting season upcoming in the next couple of months.